Zhang Hu attacked as if the next strike could erase the previous one. That was the mistake Lin Fan wanted. Rage narrowed Zhang Hu's world until it contained only Lin Fan's face and the need to put that face beneath him. His fists burned with uneven fire-earth chi. Heat rolled off his knuckles in rough pulses, strong for an outer disciple, wasteful by any higher measure. The cracked stones under his feet darkened where his chi leaked into them. The watching disciples retreated another step. No one called a steward. Not yet. Curiosity held them in place, and guilt kept them quiet. They had all come to watch a weak disciple be crushed. Now that the script had twisted, none wanted to be the first to admit the scene had become dangerous. The outer mountain trained caution, but it also trained hunger. They wanted to see how far the impossible could go. Lin Fan stood on the cracked stone and let Zhang Hu come. His body had begun to shake internally. Not visibly. Not enough. The root mark pulsed with each heartbeat, and the poison ring scraped against it whenever he shifted weight too quickly. The right meridian from palm to dantian felt like a thin wire pulled through flesh. The cooling leaf under his tongue had lost most of its coldness. Remaining clean movements, 6. Maybe 7 if he accepted bleeding. He would need 4. Zhang Hu's fist came low this time, aimed at the abdomen. Better target. Someone had taught him after all, or fear had improved instinct. A blow there would aggravate Lin Fan's root pain if it landed. Lin Fan did not dodge fully. He angled. The fist brushed his outer robe and tore cloth near the waist. Heat bit through fabric and touched skin. Pain flashed across the abdomen, dangerously close to the root junction. Lin Fan let the pain enter the existing rhythm rather than resisting it. He stepped inside Zhang Hu's guard. His left hand rose, not to strike the chest this time, but to touch the upper arm near the shoulder joint. 2 fingers pressed a tendon as Zhang Hu's momentum passed. His right foot moved behind Zhang Hu's weak left knee. Zhang Hu felt the trap too late. Lin Fan did not sweep. A sweep would reveal more strength than he wanted and strain his own leg. He removed support. Zhang Hu's body, already committed forward, found the line missing beneath it. His knee buckled. He twisted hard, saving himself from falling flat, but the effort turned him sideways and exposed his ribs. Lin Fan tapped once. The tap landed where he had named the weakness. Between the 3rd and 4th ribs. Zhang Hu's breath vanished. The chi around his fists guttered. He staggered back, eyes wide, mouth open without sound. The crowd saw the breath fail. They also saw that Lin Fan's hand had barely moved. Someone whispered, he really knew. That whisper did more damage than a shout. Zhang Hu slammed one fist against his own chest, forcing air back into his lungs. The strike made him cough. Spit hit the stone. His face twisted with humiliation. A trick, he rasped. Lin Fan's torn robe fluttered slightly where heat had burned it. He looked down at the damage, then back at Zhang Hu. Your tricks are loud. Zhang Hu's eyes went red. Lu Chen stepped forward at last. Enough. This has already gone past a simple challenge. Lin Fan turned his head. Then stop him. Lu Chen paused. The crowd turned to him. It was a clean return of pressure. Lu Chen had shaped the challenge with rules, concern, and implication, but had not taken risk. If he now admitted Zhang Hu needed stopping, he acknowledged Zhang Hu had lost control. If he did nothing, he abandoned the role of reasonable witness. Lu Chen chose a third path. Zhang Hu, he said, voice controlled. Ended with one proper exchange. No chi beyond body reinforcement. If he avoids that, no one will blame you for calling him evasive. Good. He was trying to restore structure. One proper exchange would favor Zhang Hu's strength. It would also give Zhang Hu a way to withdraw with partial face if Lin Fan refused or dodged. Lu Chen's interest was not friendship. He wanted the uncertainty contained before it spread too far. Lin Fan could allow the structure. Then break it. One exchange, Lin Fan said. The court inhaled. Zhang Hu looked up, startled by acceptance. Lu Chen's gaze sharpened. No chi beyond body reinforcement. Lin Fan nodded once. Say it clearly. Lu Chen understood too late. The crowd waited. He had to continue. No external force. No hidden weapons. No crippling strikes. One exchange. Lin Fan looked at Zhang Hu. Do you agree? Zhang Hu wiped his mouth. I agree. Louder. Zhang Hu's face flushed. I agree. The words made the rules public. Lin Fan stepped toward the center of the court. His body protested immediately. The abdomen burned where Zhang Hu's fist had grazed him. Heat from the torn robe had awakened the poison ring again. He swallowed blood before it could rise and let his right hand hang loose at his side. One exchange. Zhang Hu would choose force. Lu Chen would watch for hidden methods. The crowd would watch for victory. Lin Fan would give them something simple enough to believe. They faced each other across 3 steps of broken stone. Zhang Hu lowered his stance. This time, he looked almost disciplined. Fear had burned away some of the sloppy anger. His shoulders settled. His fists came up. Body reinforcement chi thickened under his skin rather than flaring around the knuckles. Better. Still insufficient. Lin Fan raised no guard. That angered Zhang Hu more than any insult. Ready, Lu Chen said. Zhang Hu moved on the word. He did not rush straight in. He feinted left, then drove a right fist toward Lin Fan's chest. A common outer mountain move, but executed with decent force. If Lin Fan stepped back, Zhang Hu's left would follow. If he stepped right, the drainage trench waited. If he stepped left, Ma Yang and the crowd blocked space. Lu Chen had chosen the ground well. Lin Fan stepped forward. Again, the unexpected direction. His body entered the narrow space before Zhang Hu's fist reached full extension. The punch still struck. Lin Fan allowed it to touch the left shoulder. Pain exploded through the joint. He turned with the impact, borrowing the force instead of resisting it. The punch slid off bone and tore more cloth. At the same time, his right hand rose from below, 2 fingers extended. Not toward Zhang Hu's throat. Not toward the heart. Toward the armpit, where the reinforced chi failed to cover a small gap when the right fist extended. Lin Fan pressed. Zhang Hu's entire arm went numb. His second fist, already prepared to follow, lost timing. Lin Fan's shoulder continued turning with the borrowed impact. His elbow came around, not fast, not heavy, and struck Zhang Hu's sternum with the weight Zhang Hu himself had delivered. The sound was small. Zhang Hu's eyes bulged. His feet left the correct line. He stumbled backward. 1 step. 2. His heel caught the edge of the drainage trench. The court saw the fall coming before he did. Zhang Hu tried to save himself with the numb right arm. The arm failed. He crashed backward into the dry basin. The basin cracked under his weight. Dust burst upward. For 1 breath, no one moved. Then Zhang Hu coughed. The cough echoed inside the basin, ugly and hollow. Lin Fan stood where he had started the exchange, left shoulder bruised, robe torn, expression unchanged. He had taken a hit. That was important. Taking the hit made the result believable. Stronger body, poor angle, terrain, nerve gap, loss of balance. Nothing impossible. Nothing that required sovereign memory if one did not know what to look for. Lu Chen knew enough to be silent. The crowd knew enough to be stunned. Zhang Hu tried to rise from the basin. His right arm dragged uselessly for 2 breaths before feeling returned. Those 2 breaths lasted long enough for everyone to see. Lin Fan spoke before the silence broke. 1 exchange. Zhang Hu froze. The rule he had agreed to now sealed his defeat. If he attacked again, he violated the public terms. If he stopped, he accepted the result. If he claimed the fall was terrain, everyone knew terrain had been part of the court from the beginning. No explanation restored him fully. Lu Chen's face remained smooth, but his eyes were cold. He had tried to contain uncertainty. Lin Fan had used the container as a weapon. Zhang Hu pulled himself out of the basin. Dust clung to his hair and shoulders. A crack in the stone basin ran behind him like a line drawn through his name. His followers did not step forward to help. That mattered. He noticed. His expression shifted from pain to disbelief, then to something closer to panic. Lin Fan lowered his torn sleeve over the bruise and the injured shoulder. "You agreed," he said. Zhang Hu's mouth opened. No words came. Lin Fan turned to the crowd. Who heard? No one wanted to answer first. Then Lin Ro, standing near the side path with her empty basket, said softly, "I heard." Her voice was not loud. It was enough. Another disciple said, "He agreed." Then another. One exchange. The words multiplied. Zhang Hu looked at them as if each voice struck him separately. Lin Fan did not smile. He looked at Lu Chen. "You stated the rules." The court turned again. Lu Chen held Lin Fan's gaze for 2 breaths. Then he inclined his head slightly. "I did." "Then the matter is settled." The sentence closed around Zhang Hu. He stood in dust, defeated by a weak disciple, bound by rules his own supporter had spoken, watched by followers who no longer knew where to place their loyalty. Lin Fan had not crushed his bones. He had crushed the arrangement that made Zhang Hu useful to himself. That was cleaner. Then Ma Yong stepped away from the side path. Only half a step. Enough to open the exit. Lin Fan walked toward it. No one blocked him. The first disciple to step aside was not Ma Yong. It was one of Zhang Hu's followers. He moved only a little, but the movement mattered because he did it before looking at Zhang Hu. Self-preservation had acted faster than loyalty. The second follower saw the first move and adjusted as well. Ma Yong, heavier and more careful, opened the path last. Lin Fan walked through the sequence as if it had been arranged for him. Behind him, Zhang Hu made a sound that was not quite a curse. Lu Chen heard it and said nothing. The narrow-eyed disciple's silence had texture now. Earlier, it had been calculation from a position of comfort. Now it carried caution. He had watched Lin Fan turn his stated rules into a cage and had no immediate answer that did not expose his own role. That made him dangerous later, but harmless for the next few breaths. Lin Fan used those breaths to assess the cost. Left shoulder impact, swelling beginning. Abdomen, superficial burn, root heat aggravated. Right hand, numbness deepening, but usable. Breath, controlled. Blood, rising but contained. Public result, Zhang Hu down, 1 exchange sealed, witnesses active. Next action, prevent Zhang Hu from reframing defeat as unfinished contest. He stopped just beyond the open path. Not far enough to seem fleeing. Not close enough to invite another immediate attack. The court waited for him to leave. He did not. Instead, he looked back at Zhang Hu in the cracked basin and let the silence lengthen until everyone understood the fight itself was no longer the center. The judgment was. Zhang Hu climbed from the basin with his jaw locked. Dust clung to his cheek. His right sleeve hung loose where the arm had gone numb. The cracked basin behind him made the fall look worse than it had been. That mattered. Public memory favored images over accuracy, and the image now was simple: Zhang Hu, who had demanded a fight, crawling out of broken stone while Lin Fan stood untouched enough to speak. He was not untouched. Pain pulsed through Lin Fan's left shoulder with each heartbeat. The shoulder would darken by night. The abdomen would bruise. If Zhang Hu had been more disciplined, the graze near the root junction might have ended the exchange differently. Lin Fan understood the cost clearly. The crowd did not need to. Visible cost shaped reputation. Hidden cost shaped planning. He would pay the hidden cost later. For now, he allowed the court to see only calm.
Lu Chen looked from Zhang Hu to Lin Fan, then to the basin.
Lin Fan could almost see the calculations moving behind his narrow eyes. If Lu Chen defended Zhang Hu now, he tied himself to failure. If he stepped away too visibly, he lost credibility as the one who had framed the rules. If he attacked Lin Fan, the rule he had stated became meaningless and the crowd would remember who broke it. That was why Lin Fan had included him. A clever man forced to watch his own cleverness become a lock often became more cautious than a fool beaten bloody. The court had become a lesson no one wanted to admit they were learning. Zhang Hu learned that strength without control could be directed into stone. Lu Chen learned that rules spoken for advantage could harden around the speaker. Ma Yang learned that blocking an exit made him part of the record. The followers learned that standing near power did not protect them when power stumbled. The crowd learned the most dangerous lesson of all: Lin Fan did not need to look strong for others to lose. Lin Fan let that lesson settle. Then he made it heavier by turning back instead of leaving. Turning back cost him another pulse of pain. He paid it. The body wanted the shortest path out of danger. Lin Fan wanted the longest useful shadow cast by victory. If he left too soon, Zhang Hu could shout after him and reshape the ending. If he stayed too long, the body might reveal cost. The correct moment lay between those failures. He found it by watching Lu Chen's eyes. When Lu Chen stopped calculating rescue and began calculating explanation, Lin Fan knew the fight was over. Explanation was what people reached for after losing control. Lin Fan had no interest in giving them a clean one. Clean explanations let fear end. Unclean explanations stayed in the mouth. They were repeated, revised, denied, and repeated again. That was how a small victory became larger than its wounds. Lin Fan needed it larger. His body could not yet support victories by force, so reputation had to carry part of the weight.